Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. I'll make this short. I know I'm using my phone microphone and it's flawed. So when we look at our society and we ask ourselves, what's the problem here? We see that many racist whites, racist Jews, racist LGBT people are playing a game with token minorities and whoever will help them. There's so many people helping them. And they're arguing that immigrants, right? Undocumented immigrants, you might want to call them illegal, whatever you want to call them. As long as you know what I'm talking about. It's more important to understand what I'm talking about than to bend over backwards to give people respect. But I'm going to go ahead and say undocumented immigrants to give them their respect, whatever they deserve. They say that they're an invasive species or something by their actions. That's how they're describing it. And we see that people who are Native American, maybe they're Mexican, they say they took their land, right? Some slice it in terms of tribal boundaries, some slice it in terms of national Mexican boundaries, right? And so on and so forth when we're talking about California, New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas, I believe. Okay, so now what really happened? Well, long ago, 500 years ago or so, we see whites starting to colonize the world beyond just Europe, beyond just North Africa and the Middle East, but they're starting to go all over the world. And with them are Jews and LGBT people. And Jews have been with white people helping them do things for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay, so we see, and so have LGBT people. Whites, Jews, and LGBT people go around the world and they start to colonize. And when I was younger, they used to say things like, well, we gave them technology and they're ungrateful. Okay, so let's start with when they first touched down, give or take, in the Americas. And they start trying to assimilate people and indoctrinate them, right? Be it Christianity, be it with the colonial imperatives, what have you. So at that time, were there cars? No. Were there planes? No. Were there computers? No. And even if there were, so what? I'd rather live in a place that had the natural trajectory of tribal culture, the natural improvements of buildings, what have you, and take a horse down the road and be married to a beautiful woman, have my own place, do martial arts, not have anyone fume me or poison my fuel, what have you. Okay, and I'm sure the vast majority of people would as well. So they invaded them culturally and spiritually. They invaded them physically. And they scrambled to sabotage them, to make them second rate them, and all they have to say for themselves is, well, we brought you an idea that you don't need the Bible for, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you sums up the law and the prophets. So you don't need the law and the prophets then, right? And so does loving God with all your being. A lot of people had a conception of God. So the whole Bible is like unnecessary. The essence is necessary. The divine order that you can come to more quickly without the Bible is necessary. So let me wrap this up here. I'm trying to make sure it's under 5 minutes to maintain my formula, even though I'm not using the other microphone here. So it's safe to say then, when they only had muskets to offer and maybe ships, that's not very compelling. Why should someone be your slave for just muskets and ships? Okay? And when we look at white people themselves, when they say, hey, they say things like, hey, you're white. And then when you start criticizing white culture, they say, don't call it white culture. We're not all like that. How come you yourselves are putting a certain boundaries that both parties are following? Every white person I ever met is following. And you're defining that as white. And then you're saying we're not all like that, but you're all within those boundaries. Okay? The same boundaries that made it so you called Native Americans angry red savages as a code, when the word whites is a play on words for why Set, and Set's color is red, and he's a deity of the desert and ruling people's lives, way Set, waste, and so on and so forth. So when all is said and done, it behooves white people to look at the situation in America, for example, and to say, hey, this culture is not good for us, and it's basically called white culture. And it causes people to follow child molesters and their allies and to continue wasting people's lives. They were wasted in the 1900s, the early 1900s. They're wasted in the 90s. They're wasted in around 9/11. They're wasted in 2010. They're wasted now in 2026. So I'm not saying that at this point their race by itself makes it so they couldn't possibly obey God through me, which is what would allow them to go to heaven as individuals, but that they should obey God through me, which is what the Bible says.